And speaking of getting rid of content, that leads us to our next topic, which is the Disney Plus purge of a lot of their content. This is news that just kind of came out on the heels of their austerity measures. So basically, the Disney Plus Hulu purge has begun. This is from Vulture. And just wanted to read this real quick. So, Bob Iger, he created Disney Plus before he supposedly retired. But as recently as 2002, Iger told the New York Times that while their previous licensing deals with companies like Netflix did a brilliant job, he later realized that Disney was basically selling nuclear weapons technology to a third world country, and now they're using it against us. It led Disney to wean themselves off all other licensing, but these current removals underscore that nothing is forever, especially in streaming. A really interesting article was here in Deadline. So just a quick rundown of the stuff that is going to be pulled off of Disney Plus. We got Willow, Big Shot, Turner and Hooch, The Mighty Ducks Game Changers, Just Beyond, Diary of a Future President, The Mysterious Benedict Society, The World According to Jeff Goldblum, and Hulu's Why the Last Man, Dollface, The Hot Zone, Maggie, Pistol, and The Little Demon. Now, of those series that are getting pulled, Willow and Why the Last Man were kind of like the most like big budget, in your face, tentpole.
Did you see the updated list? There was actually a lot more than that, Matt.
Yeah. There's
Turner and Hooch and a few other bigger ones. There's a few other bigger ones added.
Yeah, no. This was the updated one with Turner and Hooch and stuff like that. But the point I was trying to make is that Willow and Why the Last Man were huge flops for FX and Disney Plus, simply because they went so radically woke. And one of the interesting things I saw in this Deadline article was that this move comes down to a content impairment charge of $1.5 billion to $1.8 billion. Now, what's a content impairment charge? Content impairment charge is basically a process used by businesses to write off worthless goodwill. These are assets whose value drops or is lost completely, rendering them completely worthless. So basically, Disney has taken this content off to write off $1.5 to $1.8 billion, similar to how when Zaslav came in and took over Warner Brothers, he scrapped a bunch of stuff in order to get like a tax write-off. Now, it's not clear that this is going to be like a tax write-off similar to that, but basically what Disney's doing is they're trying to take this content that was more expensive for them to keep up and produce, and find a way to try to write it to basically recuperate some of the money that it's costing them. And it's kind of interesting because basically, like, we had these numbers that came out and talked about how Disney Plus had lost subscribers. It's like a huge black hole of money for Disney, and it's just not a healthy thing for the company. And so they're trying to figure out how to make it work. And the first step is to basically take off all these underperforming shows. Now, Tom Connors, can you explain to us a little bit about how, like, the content licensing and the costs associated with that work for these shows, and why you might be doing this?
Yeah, this is kind of what I was referring to earlier. You like, yeah, there's a bit that can be saved by writing these down. As you said, they're making them out to be worthless, meaning nobody watched them and they didn't do anything for their service. But the other stuff, the ancillary costs they'd have to have if they did keep them up, let's say, is they have to pay all the residuals to all the directors, writers, actors, anybody who has it in their contract, and whatever amount they have in their contract, as long as they're up there. So taking them down is going to save them money, directly, so they don't have to pay out all these ancillary costs. Plus, even the subtle things like storage fee on the server if they don't have their own server farm, for instance, and such. And it makes room for other things that people are watching and that can be considered profitable. But the streaming model is such a crapshoot, and how it works, and that's what part of the writing strike is about right now, on top of the upcoming strikes, is because they're not really transparent with their numbers and how this works, and that's where it's like these flat rates, I think, is what a lot of them are getting now anyway. So that's basically what, as far as I can tell, they're cutting them kind of overhead costs at the same time, while also probably writing these off as failures as a business.
Now, Brian from the Popcast, or I don't know if he's there. You there, Brian?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, I had my mic off and I was reaching over to get it. Sorry.
It's okay. So I found this tweet from Matthew Buck on Twitter. Matthew Buck is a great YouTube creator. He runs a great channel called Film Brain, and I thought that this was a very interesting tweet thread that he did. He says, "It is bad when Warner Brothers does it. It is bad when Disney does it. Stop taking content away. Some very high-profile removers here too, like Willow." And I bet the whole thing ties back to the fact that they likely don't want to pay residuals on lesser performing content. And it costs more to keep it around than to junk it.
Yeah,
Soulless,
that's what I was
heartless,
saying.
ignorant, short-sighted, and culturally bankrupt. This loophole needs to be sealed up. The active destruction by streamers of their own content, something even the worst doomsayers about the streaming bubble would never have even dreamed, will be looked back upon with as much shame as tape wiping, mark my words. Seeing a lot of people go, oh, well, if it was that important to buy it, buy it physically, which ignores the fact that these titles made for streaming were never actually made available to buy on physical media. It also puts the onus on previous customers rather than companies.
Preservation.
Yeah. So
well, and he's not wrong, but at the same time, there shouldn't be an excuse made for woke bad content, right? Like, I mean, that's what he's kind of ignoring.
Let's say he liked it though, right? Let's just talk about the physical media aspect. The fact that there is no physical media being sold for that, it only increases piracy, number one. But number two, like, even if you bought the digital copies, let's say you bought the digital copies on Amazon or whatever, or Vudu or whatever, when they go down off Disney, like, do you lose access to it? Because
no, those are exclusive to Disney, so you can't buy them on demand. That's kind of the point.
Okay, so you couldn't buy them on demand. But
Yeah,
it still ties back to the same argument. Like, the problem with lacking physical media is that these businesses at any moment can just rip the cord. I have a lot of media on Amazon Prime. Every movie that you would rent, I just spend the extra couple bucks and buy it, right? And the thing is, the other day, I remember actually going in there. I'm looking for, I think it was Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And there are episodes missing from my 13 seasons of Always Sunny. Mm-hmm. Because they decided that those episodes are no longer proper. They're not proper. They push the envelope a little too far, and they're problematic. And so they removed them from their catalog. Did they warn all the people that purchased them? No. When you complain about it, they say, well, you don't actually own it. You just pay for the ability to, it's like a lease. And at any moment, they can just rip it out. Now, I did get a refund, but it took me like 4 hours of complaining to 3 different people to get my refund. Most people are not going to do that. Most people are just going to be like, oh, I guess I just don't have those episodes
technically
anymore.
don't have to give you shit. Because what that is, if you read the fine print, and somebody took them to court and lost, last I knew, over this, it's just a long-term rental. I agree, it should be on physical media, but the problem you also face here is they wouldn't have made any money on the physical media of these either. Nobody would have bought them. That's kind of the problem you have, is that it's junk that nobody watched. It's sad to say. Now, should they deserve some kind of physical media release or even a digital media release? They might get them. That's the thing a lot of people are overlooking, is the reason they're pulling them, unless they have to keep them out of circulation to write them down on the taxes, which is like the Batgirl situation, they can now farm these out to other places. It's not like they're probably going to go away. They're just going to be, like I said, on Hulu or Vudu, or Amazon might even pick them up, or Netflix might even pick them up. Because that's what they're doing now. That's kind of how the streaming war is ending. It's basically everybody's one big circle jerk now. They're just buying each other's crap. Because Paramount, HBO, they've all learned we can't be exclusive or we're not going to make any money. Because that, at the end of the day, is what made the whole streaming thing profitable, is when you only have Netflix as a streaming service and they're paying all the studios these huge fees for their movies. That's why they were making bank. But when you're making the movies and putting them on your own service, you're also in charge of all the overhead that goes with that. So you're not making any money at the end of the day.
Yeah, you're also completely in charge of the risk. Like,
exactly,
all the risk is on you now. There's no backup. There's no partner. You know what's interesting is this. What you said about circle jerking, right? And so they're going to be selling their media back and forth to each other. I noticed that True Lies is now available for to stream or buy digitally. And for the longest time, True Lies was not available in any form, including Blu-ray, DVD, whatever.
Yeah.
Because of I guess
Cultural insensitivity.
and no, it wasn't that. It was actually who directed that? It was
James Cameron
James Cameron had an argument with the distributor of that movie, and so he decided just to not sign an agreement. So there was no distribution for True Lies.
I don't know if that's true. Basically, it works like this. James Cameron has distribution sign off on all of his films except for Titanic and Terminator, as far as I know. And they even still give him that carte blanche with Titanic.
So he just decided not to release that
what
one
it is
movie.
it boiled? No, he hasn't. There's people griping because he has not remastered Aliens yet. They're waiting for The Abyss to come out.
I'm not asking for remaster. There's no DVD or Blu-ray of it, though.
That's my point, Brian. You're not listening to me.
Sorry.
They can only legally release, due to their contracts, the last version that Cameron signed off on. And since he's been dicking around with the Titanic and dicking around with Avatar, he can't take 2 hours to go watch his movie and go, yeah, it looks good, or fix this.
Right.
I'm not kidding. That's what it boils down to, Brian. That's why we've been waiting 20 freaking years to get Abyss on Blu-ray, and we're finally going to get it this year because James Cameron just didn't bother to take 3 hours to go, okay, it looks good, and sign off on it. That's really what it boils down to. Is and then when he does, we get shit like Terminator 2 4K, and it looks like somebody smudged shit all over the screen because he completely scrubbed the grain out of it. And I have a feeling that's exactly what he's going to do to Aliens if he ever gets around to it, too.
I don't know. What is it? What are some of these directors have like this aversion to film grain? It's part of the medium.
I don't
What's the
understand it
issue?
either. Peter Jackson's another one, too. I don't get it. It's where you got the other opposite end where it's like Tarantino, where they refuse to shoot on digital because they want that film look.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's dirty
Real
as hell.
quick, we got a super.
Sorry, I had to go on a tangent there.
No, it's good.
Hey guys, if you could do me a quick favor, if you like this episode and it tickles your fancy or any other episode that we've done in the past, share it on social media and tag us in that post so that we know you're talking about us, and we will immediately jump onto that app and we will respond to your tag, and we can talk about what you like about the episode and possibly talk about something that we might want to cover in the future. And we would love to bring you in our community. We have a wonderful Discord app as well. There's a bunch of people in there that just love chatting with us. And we'd love to hear from you. So if you like this podcast, tag us in that post and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Thank you guys so much. Back to the podcast.
That's fine, Tom. Culture Casino for $1.99. If they take the right down, it's gone forever. So that's a good point. Is that if they take a tax write-off on these things,
that's what I was saying.
Never release them again. Primitive,
that's too bad.
You mentioned that you had a video on this very subject coming out. What are your thoughts on Disney Plus basically sunsetting a lot of these underperforming shows?
It's not really surprising, to be honest, because, well, from what I've read, it's essentially so they don't have to pay residuals and things like that. And I guess they can put it on, like, other streaming, like, whether it's like your Rokus and all that sort of stuff. So then you'd actually make ad revenue, I guess, if people watch it or something like that. But, I can't really have a lot of sympathy for, because we've seen like the Willow writer kind of, saying it's absolutely cruel. And it's just like, well, you didn't really put much effort into this show. But, to that super chat there about, the show disappearing forever. I've got all the reviews of it on my channel. So it's always going to live on there. Just me batching the show.
I got copies of it too.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like I said, every other week it's something where they're trying to have to do something to save money, and it's just they've just kind of done it themselves, just with the low quality shows that aren't driving subscriber growth. So it's something it's not really surprising at this point.
Yeah, Matt Vader 74.
Yeah.
I'm going through this list of the shows that they're sunsetting, and it's kind of funny. Like I can remember back during the lockdowns when all these studios were putting out this stuff, and we were seeing commercials and trailers for Turner and Hooch and the Mighty Ducks Game Changers and all this other stuff, and all these like really dumb sounding bad movies and TV
Mhm.
shows that nobody watched
Mhm.
are part of this. Nobody's gonna miss this shit when it's
Nope.
gone, really.
Right.
It's like you guys are all like sitting here talking about physical media and all this kind of thing, and all I'm sitting here is like, I'm not gonna buy this shit on physical media anyway. Don't care.
Yeah.
You know, I don't need historical posterity for a Turner and Hooch television remake. No, sorry. I watched 2 episodes of Willow. It's trash. It's absolute garbage. You know, for a brief 5 seconds, I thought to myself, it's going away in a couple of days. Maybe I should just like bite the bullet and watch the whole series. And then it kind of it went away. It's gone. I don't have any interest in watching that either. Good riddance. Good for Disney for saving some money. Who gives a shit? Okay. None of this stuff that they're getting rid of is anything people watched, with the exception of Willow a little bit for the woke freakos out there who thought they had a duty to go watch it. Don't care. And good riddance to this terrible content. And maybe all the other streamers need to go out and purge their systems of all the terrible woke bullshit that they put out there as well. So yeah, that's my take.
Well, if they
Get
did
rid
that, they'd have
get rid of
zero
it.
content.
Exactly.
Yeah, they were mad.
So-
You know what? Just to play devil's advocate real quick, there are people though, like for us, like who gives a shit? Like I don't really care about Willow.
Mhm.
Well, I care about Willow. I don't care about this Willow. But there are people out there that do genuinely love this stuff, right? So for them, there are people that are. Am I too loud? I just saw my chat.
You're a little loud, but it's all right.
You're all
Oh,
right.
I apologize.
I'd cry tears for those people.
No, I
No,
get
but I
it.
understand. And Brian's right. They should have made these available on media in some way, shape, or form. As a media fan, I do agree with that. But at the same time, a lot of these shows that are on this list, they've been sitting on Disney Plus with only one season and canceled anyway. Turner and Hooch is one of them,
Yeah.
for instance. And that was one of the few that actually got that wasn't woke from what I had heard. It was actually a backdoor sequel to the original film, even though Disney wanted a remake. The creator found a way to make it and fit in all the diversity points and actually kind of did a little FU to them, because the character that they had them bring in, they're like, well, can I make them pregnant? And they're like, sure, we love that idea. Little did they know that by doing that, they were end up going to write them out of most of the season. Because
That's
they're basically
awesome.
pregnant. Yeah, so like there's little things like that. And the first season of Mighty Ducks was great. The second season I haven't seen because they got rid of Emilio Estevez, so I don't even know if anybody watched that. And that I believe got canceled too. Another point, you know, a lot of these shows were already canceled.
Oh my god,
So-
there was a new Mighty Ducks.
Exactly. Yeah, the first
Game
season wasn't even
changers.
half bad.
Oh
And
my
then they
God. Holy
got
crap.
rid of him because he refused to get the vax, so they refused to have him back for the second season, and they wrote him out.
Is it off the platform? Did I miss
Now
that?
it's off the platform now.
Oh,
but yeah.
son of a bit.
It's going off the platform, Brian.
Oh,
Or
so
it
it's
is
not
going
it's
to
not
be.
gone yet.
The
All
first
right.
season is the only thing worth a crap, and it kind of leaves with a hanging note. And I didn't watch the second season, so I don't even know how they resolve it, Brian. I just refuse to watch it because he's not in it.
I just like Estevez, so
Yeah, and the first season was halfway decent. Sure, there's some woke elements to it, but for the most part, it was just basically, you know, getting to see some of the kids grown up, and you know, there's a new generation, and how they got Bombay involved and all that kind of stuff, and what he's been up to since the last 3 movies. And,
that's rad.
yeah, but they just kind of went out the window when they decided not to bring him back.
All right, real quick, we got some super chats here from the Astro Nerd Boy for $5. I've said this before, but Disney seems to be leaving a lot of money on the table by not putting shows on Blu-ray for collectors to buy. Then we got another $5 super chat. I'd buy Mando season 1 and 2 on Blu-ray disc, and I'm looking forward to getting Picard season 3 on Blu-ray as Paramount puts their stuff on physical media. Brian, that's true. Paramount seems to be one of those studios that actually still likes to sell physical media, don't they?
Yeah. No, and look at this, man.
It's because they need money.
No, I mean, I don't know if this is where you get money from, because
Oh yeah, that goes towards them.
yeah, it's a very interesting thing. Someone the other day said, "All right, so you got for the latest Star Trek series, you got a vinyl record," and I was like, "Yes." He goes, "You don't see it weird? It's a little ironic there, right?" Yeah. Here's the deal. They sell physical media because they have customers that want it, and even if they don't like a season of television, they might get the entire box set just to have it. Like I have all 3 of the JJ movies, and I really only like the first one. But I'm a physical media collector, and I like Star Trek. Now, am I buying Star Trek Discovery? No. But I'll buy Picard. If there's a box set for Picard, I'll buy Picard for sure. Depending on how Strange New World goes this season, I might buy that too. The first season wasn't bad. So, as a fan of the IP and a fan of hard media, if it's coming in a steel box and I'm mildly interested, I'm buying it.
Simp.
I mean, I'm a Picard season 3 simp. Seasons 1 and 2 were garbage.
Oh, I just see a bunch of stuff in Brian's background and in my background, and probably everybody else is in the chats here too.
Right.
That some relative we don't like is going to take all that crap to the pawn shop or something in 50 years and get $12 for it.
Yeah,
and
yeah, no,
my
you're right.
kid's smart. He could make a lot of money out of the crap I got here.
Yeah.
Listen, bro, I got like 150 steelbooks up here, and steelbooks don't lose value like regular ones do. So
it's okay.
He's not
Right,
totally wrong.
Hey guys, if you like this podcast, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and comment below on your favorite video as well. That goes a long way with helping us boost our channel and get out there in front of more people. And it lets YouTube know that we're doing something right. And if you want to catch us live, we go live 2 times a week, once on Saturdays at 10 a.m. Pacific time and on Tuesdays at 1:30 p.m. Pacific time. So join us there in the chat. We will see you on the live stream. Stay salty.